my name is Vontoba, and I'm your host of the Go Give Grow podcast. I am the COO and co-founder of UI Global Brands, our main brand being Urban Hydration, Skincare, and Hair Care. Thank you for joining us today. If you've been with us any amount of time over the past several weeks, we've been talking about several different topics related to going, giving, and growing. If you're part of this community, you're going somewhere and you know where that is. You're giving somewhere in some capacity, time, treasure, or talent, and you're growing or attempting to grow in every area of your life. You're being fruitful. That's all this lifestyle is about, the go, give, grow lifestyle. So thank you for joining us today. I want to talk about a topic, and it's an uncomfortable one for many. I like to research statistics and also love movies, so we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of that today. But what sparked the idea of this topic today, overcoming fear with truth, was something that Dr. Tony Evans said in one of his sermons recently. He said, "Truth is an absolute standard by which reality is measured." Truth is an absolute standard by which reality is measured. So if that's the case, then fear is false. And I've heard people say fear is false evidence appearing real. There's some evidence that there's something going on, but that doesn't make it necessarily real. That doesn't make it an actual circumstance, event, or extenuating existence of something that you have to be afraid of. And one thing that I thought about is that, fear is wondering about what could happen, not what is. Now, fear is not real, but danger is. I'm not talking about danger. If you have someone that's about to punch you in the face, you're okay to have some fear. You need to react and protect yourself. But, worry about, what's going to happen with this customer, or what's going to happen with this family member, or what's going to happen with my health, that can be debilitating. And we have to overcome fear with truth. What is the truth of the matter? One film, again, going back to science fiction, After Earth, didn't receive a lot of critical acclaim or box office success, but it featured a star who I basically watch all of his movies, Will Smith. His character in After Earth says, "Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. That is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice." So I ask you today, what are you afraid of? According to the statistics, around 15 to 20% of people are going to experience some sort of phobia or severe fear during their lifetime. There are people who are afraid of spiders, people who are afraid of the number 13. There are people who are afraid of the dark. What are you afraid of? Really think about it. I'll come back to phobias and fears here in a second. I want to talk to you about how can you overcome fear with truth. Number one, you have to be honest with yourself. Tell the truth. Are you afraid you're going to run out of money? Well, tell yourself the truth about that. Are you able-bodied? Do you have a job? If not, do you have the potential of earning one? Do you have savings? Do you have friends and family? Do you have a church you can draw on? If you have resources available to you, there's no reason to be afraid you're going to run out of money. If you have breath in your lungs and the ability to provide for yourself, there are options. Now, you can be concerned, but you shouldn't be afraid. Fear doesn't produce energy. Fear is draining. So what do you replace that with? Hope. You replace it with truth. You spend your time focusing on how you can influence a positive outcome rather than thinking about what the negative outcome is or could be. And you ask yourself the question, what is real? Is money even real? The concept of money, is an idea. So we have this piece of paper or these sheets of metal, coins, bills, but they're only real to the extent that we place value on them. So maybe reality is where we place value. Think about that. So don't put the value in the fear, Put the value in the world as you would like to see it be, the outcome that you want, that positive aspect and result. And then another way to overcome fear with truth is to redirect and change the topic. If you find yourself in a position where you're afraid of something, you're afraid of what the doctor is going to say, or you're afraid of what the teacher is going to say, redirect your mind. Change the topic, or to change the channel. You're watching Fox News, change the channel to CNN. Or you're watching CNN, change the channel to Fox News. Why not? Change the perspective. Don't let the fear consume you. Consume your mind with something healthy, something focused, and then use your imagination. Imagine different. So what, the doctor could come in and say, XYZ is going on. Well, you don't know that yet, so why be afraid? They might come in and say, oh, it's nothing. Whatever you are feeling, it's actually gone away, or it's benign, or it's this or that. But even if they do come back with something negative or something that is bad, until you know that, you have to forge forward and forge ahead, dreaming big, reaching for the stars with the confidence that that outcome hasn't happened yet. We can't be overcome with a false reality. Focus on the absolute truth. And what that is it may be different for some, but for others, they have a source for absolute truth, an ultimate source. In terms of imagination, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm afraid of cats. I actually used to be afraid of cats. Don't laugh at me. But let's say, every time a cat crosses my path, I get scared. I think it's going to scratch me or bite me. Well, if I use my imagination and think about that cat versus a lion. Now, if a lion crosses my path, I have a reason to be afraid because I'm in danger. And remember, fear is not real. Danger is. A lion obviously could tear me to pieces unless I beat it up like David did in the Old Testament. But a cat really can't hurt me. It won't kill me. So why be afraid? So I'm imagining this cat as a lion, and then I laugh at myself and I say, this is not a lion. I have no reason to be afraid. I can overcome that fear. Does that make sense? So I really want to ingrain this thought in your mind that if you're afraid of something, if you're feeling any sort of debilitating fear, it's okay. Don't feel bad about it, but let's work towards overcoming that and telling the truth, focusing on what is real, redirecting, changing the topic, changing the channel in our mind, and imagining something different. And to use another Will Smith quote, in the movie Hit, she said, begin each day as if it were on purpose. What's the opposite of that? Beginning each day as if it was on accident. And living in an accidental life, that probably creates a lot of room for fear. But when you live each day on purpose, that's a source of a lot of truth. You understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and where you're going. I'm going to close out this particular episode with some statistics. There are about 20 million people in the U.S., according to Nationwide, that are afraid of the number 13 that's called triskaidekaphobia. And I hope I pronounced that correctly. 80% of high-rise buildings don't even have a 13th floor because of that. A good portion of people have a persistent fear. And for example, the fear of spiders that millions of people deal with, you find it hard to believe that only 12 out of 40,000 species of spider can actually harm an adult human. Only 12 out of 40,000. It's not really a reason to have arachnophobia. And then you have aerophobia that affects 8 million plus people who are afraid of flying. When you're more likely to become an NFL, NBA, or Major League Baseball player than to be involved in a plane crash. False evidence appearing real versus the truth of the matter. And then there's also fear of lightning, astrophobia. If you ask my wife, she'll say she knows a lady who was struck by lightning 10 times. And whether you believe that story or not, there's a guy named Roy Sullivan. They called him the human lightning conductor. He was struck by lightning 7 times and survived. So if that story's true, then maybe my wife's story is as well. So I have to tell her about that. There's all types of phobias and fears, but I'll tell you what. In many cases, you have nothing to be afraid of. Everything's going to be all right. And you have to tell yourself that. Look in the mirror and say, everything is going to be all right. I am enough. I have everything I need. Whatever I need to fill in the gap, it's on the way. And if you've listened to any of these other episodes, you know that this lifestyle, where you go, you give, and you grow, lends itself to one that's not about fear, but it's about hope, it's about caring, it's about compassion and love, even when the times get tough. You're on purpose and you're on plan. You have a blessed week and a blessed day. If this message was helpful to you, please share it with someone else. The Go Give Grow podcast, and I'm Vontoba Terry signing off. Be blessed.